Michael Burry is selling. He just came out with his portfolio for Q1. I want to go through that, talk about what he bought, what he sold, because he has definitely talked about crypto in the past, saying basically it was a huge bubble that was all going to come crashing down. Now he is buying another bubble, so I want to talk about that. I also want to go through what's happening in the market right now, including following up on the SEC's their date that they had to give some response to Coinbase by. So we're going to talk about that. If you don't mind, please hit subscribe underneath the video. Turn on that bell notification so you know right when I post future videos. Also, we're in the new house. Let me know what you think about this setup. Still working on it a little bit. Just got in 2 days ago and still unpacking stuff. But hopefully this will do for the future. And I do want to thank AI Doge and NordVPN as well, which we'll talk more about that later. But let's take a look at the overall market. So as you can see here, Bitcoin is right around 27,500. It did fall down below 26,000 last week. Towards the end of the week, just for a very brief period. And now it's been moving up. It's up about $2,000 from that bottom there, bouncing basically off the 200-day. Now, over the weekend, I made a video talking about how we were supposed to hear back from the SEC. Basically, a U.S. court ordered them on May 4 to respond to allegations within 10 days, basically. Coinbase had made a petition saying that asking for clarification to about 40 or 50 questions, I believe it was, from, is this a security, to just giving some more clarity in crypto in general. Now, the SEC didn't respond at all to that. And this 10 days that they were given is basically to respond and try to elaborate why they didn't even respond to the petition. So it's not that they had to respond to the petition in 10 days, it's that they had to give a reason for why they hadn't responded to the petition. It's just crazy, right? The hoops that we have to jump through here. But that was 10 days that they were given, and they were given that notice on the 4th. So I made a video saying, hey, we'll hear by May 14th. Now, I did talk to my dad. He said that over the weekend, these government entities don't work, the courts don't work. So most likely that was just sloppy, or it just got pushed back another day or something like that. So we may hear today. Now, who knows? Some of these could have been, or the SEC could just try to elongate that. They could push it back. They could not respond. Who knows what the SEC really could do here? But they're supposed to give a response as of yesterday. So it could be today. It could be a few days from now. Sounds like the SEC is not really willing to play ball at this point. It's not like they can't pay fines either, right? They have plenty of money. Now, something interesting, when I was trying to find this news, because they did not respond, in case I didn't say that, they did not give any kind of clarification like they're supposed to by yesterday. I noticed this article talking about the pay of these different employees. And it says Armstrong's total compensation, the CEO, Brian Armstrong, for the whole of 2022 was $7.5 million. He received a flat salary of $1 million, while the remaining was characterized as a security and legal cost. Now, they did not include the options awards as well. $57 million in options. Now, last year, the stock did not do well. I mean, it's up a lot this year just because the whole market's up and riskier stocks are up. But in 2022, the stock price basically went from $250 and went all the way down to $37. So the stock went down 80%, and he got paid $70 million. I think that's a little bit too high. Let me know your thoughts, but this is something I look for when I look at companies that I'm buying. I don't want them to have huge amounts of stock-based compensation when they're not performing well, right? They're losing billions of dollars a year. They had negative free cash flow of $1.65 billion, and yet employees got paid double what they got paid the year before. So just something to pay attention to right there. Coinbase, a lot of people think of them as white knights, but keep in mind, they still are taking huge paydays. Now, this is the Twitter page of the chief legal officer. He's the one that kind of announced that they were going to go after the SEC in this way. that they should have news in 10 days. So I followed them just so that I can see any future updates, and I'll let you know if we get an update here in the next day or so. Now, 𝗡cie has had a kind of a crazy last month, as we know, spiking in price. Now, if you bought even 2 weeks ago, you'd still be up 100%, just about better than every other crypto, right? Outside of a few choice meme coins. So this one has done extremely well. Over the weekend even, it fell down and it went up 100% in a few hours. Now it's down a little bit. Now, one coin that I think could do well as well that's in pre-sale is AI Doge. Now, I did a full video on this over the weekend. If you want to see that video, you can check it out. They are a partner of the channel, so just want to throw it out there that their pre-sale looks like it's going to be ending pretty soon. Their price is moving up every day that you don't buy in. So if you want to check them out, you can. Now, Bitcoin in general is kind of in this head and shoulders pattern, but we have some pretty strong support right around this $26,000 to $27,000 area, especially around $27,000. We've seen it bounce off a couple of times, and now we're starting to move up, right? We're at $27,600. So this may invalidate the head and shoulders, or may move right up. I don't know if that's technically invalidation if we don't come all the way down after the last shoulder, but we could move right back up and continue moving up. I think consolidation is good. I mean, remember, we were between 18 and 20,000 for months. Now we're up at 27,000, 28,000. We can't really complain too much, but it could be an interesting buying in price. Now, some people are still selling, right? When we look at the multi-asset, and we'll get to Michael Burry here in a second. The CoinShares investor report shows what large investors are doing, and you kind of want to follow the money, right? See what they're buying, what they're selling. They just continue to dump. You can see this is the fourth week in a row of pretty large outflows. A lot coming out of Bitcoin, some coming out of short Bitcoin, which is kind of like the opposite of what this is. So instead of negative $10 million coming out of the market, I kind of think of it as plus 10 million. So it's like a $20 million swing, but it does mean that less people are playing crypto as well. So it couldn't be thought of in a different way from that too. That's just kind of how I always think about it. So in that case, it would be like negative 34 million instead of negative 54 million. Now, over the last year, we've talked about how you need to protect yourself by using cold storage wallets. We've talked about that because of so many exchanges blowing up. Now, today I want to talk to you very briefly about something else that you should get to protect yourself, and that's a VPN. So I did not use a VPN for the longest time. I just had my information out on the web. I thought, who really cares? But then once I got into crypto, you notice that I stopped talking about how much I was worth, how much crypto I had, that kind of thing, because I didn't want people to know. Because with real estate or money in the bank or stocks, you can't really steal that very easily, but if you get held up at gunpoint and you have some crypto on a hot storage wallet, you can be in trouble. You can see here, I'm unprotected right now. I live here in Holland, Michigan. I don't want you guys to know that. Here's my IP address. Here's my ISP. I don't want this out on the web, but people can get that information if I'm not protected. Now, I can do something as easy as this. Click France, and then I'm protected. If I reload the page, this is great for anyone trading in crypto because you don't want people to know where you are, what you're doing on the web, and what websites you're using. We know, especially with some of these exchanges, right? They don't have your best interest in mind all the time. So we want to protect our information, and it can be really useful for other things as well. Not just that, but you can get on websites that you wouldn't normally be able to get on. Also, when you're overseas, you can get back on websites that you can't get overseas. I've been traveling, even just something as simple as watching a show. I was gone for 1 month and I could not watch a show that I was totally hooked on for that entire month unless I had VPN. And I had VPN at the time. Now, with this link underneath the video, because I am sponsored by Nord VPN right now, you can get a 30-day money-back guarantee, and when you sign up for a year, you can get 3 months off. If you sign up for 2 years, you can get 4 months off. So I would get that. It's $3 a month, and it protects you during the next bull run. I think if you're not doing this and you're not having a cold storage wallet device, you're really doing it wrong. I think you are opening yourself up to losing big in the next bull run. So check that out underneath the video. Now, here's the last thing I want to cover. The market is pricing in rate cuts. So at the next meeting, we're pricing in an 88% chance that we have 0 rate hikes. We'll have to see how the coming inflation rolls in, because I believe we get that next CPI reading a day or two before the next rate hike. But then July 26th, the market's expecting a 33% chance that we actually see rate cuts and a 60% chance that they stay the same. Then September meeting, most people are expecting a 25% cut. Now this week, a lot of the Fed members are speaking, and the market might take that and hear them speaking pretty hawkish and send the market back down. Now today, it's looking a little bit green, but be ready because there could be some volatility in case they come out really on a hard stance saying, hey, we're not going to increase rates, but we're also not going to decrease rates. I don't think they would pull that out of question that they are going to increase rates, but I've heard some of the Fed speakers already say that they're not looking at decreasing rates until late 2024, but the market's pricing it in like 3/4 of the way through this year. So we could see some volatility from that. Now I want to take a second because Michael Burry just announced his new portfolio. Actually, he didn't announce it, but it came out. He had to send it to the SEC because he has enough money under management. Now, a couple months ago, January 31st, 2023, Michael Burry posted on Twitter the word sell. No other context. The tweet was deleted. And then a couple months later, on March 30th, Michael Burry said, I was wrong to say sell. He was wrong. Now, a lot of people look at what he's buying. They want to know because he was right about the Big Short, right? He was right about the financial crisis. He made a lot of money. He's made some other good calls in the past. He's kind of a mysterious character, right? He has a Twitter page with 1 million followers. And he will post one tweet at a time, maybe a couple weeks apart, and then delete them. So everyone pays attention to him. But when we look at what he owned fourth quarter, let's take a look. Geo Group Inc. was 25% of his portfolio. So he was highly, highly weighted in this. Black Knight Inc., 20%. Coherent Corp., 11%. Alibaba, 9.5%. JD.com, 9%. I believe, if I remember right, I should have looked at this beforehand, but I believe these are prisons. I could be wrong, but at one point he was very heavy into prisons. Now his portfolio is totally different. So he has more holdings, he has them more spread out, and he bought a lot of banks. So let's take a look. JD.com Inc. Again, this is from March 31st. So a day after he posted this, that he was wrong to say sell, he had these holdings. JD.com, 10% of his portfolio. Alibaba, 9.6%, so almost the same as the quarter before. Same weighting. Signet Jewelers Limited, haven't really heard of them, 9%. New York Community Bank Corp, so regional bank. Zoom Video Communications, so obviously we all know what that is. Capital One Financial, Liberty Latin America, Stillwater Ltd. Let's go down a little bit though. Wells Fargo, Western Alliance. We have PacWest Bank Corp, First Republic Bank, Huntington, and a couple other companies. So he was heavy into the banks. Look at this. New York Community Bank Corp, Capital One Financial, Wells Fargo, Western Alliance Bank Corp, and then as we said, First Republic Bank, PacWest, and Huntington. A lot of regional banks, a lot of risky banks. I don't know if we should pay attention to what he's been buying. I mean, he pretty much timed this exactly wrong. Now, I don't know when he got in. He's probably already out of some of these, but a lot of these companies have not done well recently. It's hard to follow the Burry portfolio because he does jump in and out very quickly, very heavily. So he could have actually made money on all these banks, honestly. He could have swung them, bought them at a local bottom, sold them when they're up 10, 20%. I don't know what he did exactly, but he went fishing for some banks, and the banks have gone down. Some of these have gone bankrupt since then or been taken over by the government. Some have had rumors that they're going to be taken over by the government. So I wanted to cover that because A lot of people like to know what he's buying. Honestly, with looking at his portfolio, I'm not so sure I'd be trying to follow what he does. So let me know your thoughts on that underneath the video. He's been pretty strong against crypto in the past, saying, again, it was just basically a bubble that was going to pop, that there are huge valuations. Now, since then, crypto has come down. But I could tell you that too when we're at the $60,000, $70,000 mark, and we know eventually we'll hit a bear market, right? I think most of us think that we're going to go down at some point with all our holdings, right? We just don't know when. So it's easy enough to call that the market's going to crash like he's been doing for 15 years, but you're going to be wrong a lot of the time. And if you're not exposed to the market, you're going to lose out a lot. You're going to lose out a lot of the time, which is why, people always get worried when people say that there's a recession coming, but we should all know that there's always a recession coming. The question is when, and we will never know that, so that's why it's a good idea probably to DCA into the market. Paul Tudor Jones also just said about Bitcoin that it's one of the only things in the world, probably the only thing in the world, that can't have more made of it. It can't be inflated. So he's going to stick with it. Let me know if you're sticking with Bitcoin down in the comments section. Thank you so much. Again, check out the links to NordVPN and to AI Doge underneath the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.